What's good, YouTube? It's your boy KB with Just Do Boxing, back with another video. Before I get into the video, I want to say we hit our goal of 1,000 subs. We actually exceeded the goal. We're sitting at over 1,200 right now. So I just want to thank all 1,200 of y'all for subscribing to the channel. Y'all greatly appreciate it. If this your first time on the channel, do your boy a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the bell icon. Hit all so you can get all new notifications when new content drops. As I drop content daily, man. The Just Do family is growing, so let's get into it, man. Got some interesting news in the sport of boxing. As y'all know, Showtime just released its schedule for the next upcoming couple of months, and one fight stuck out to me in particular. One that people are complaining about for a number of different reasons. You got a matchup between Jermall Charlo and Maciej Sulecki for June 18th. And a lot of people are complaining, because, they thought we was going to get Charlo versus CANELO. And, that fell out. And then we also thought we was going to get Charlo versus MUNGUIA. And that also fell out. So now we left with, Charlo versus Sulecki. And, people are complaining. Charlo, he's 32-0 with 22 KOs, orthodox fighter. He's 6 foot, 73.5-inch reach. He's fighting out of Houston, Texas. He's the WBC 160-pound middleweight champion, 31 years old. The last time he was in the ring was June 19th of last year, where he got a 12-round unanimous decision over 22-4-2 Juan Montiel, tough Mexican boxer. It was a good fight for Charlo. He was tested. He ended up being cut for the first time in the fight, but he still controlled, the majority of the fight. He hurt Montiel multiple times, and I believe he won the fight convincingly. He was heavily criticized, for the success Montiel was able to have up against him. Some people felt like, strangely, that Charlo lost this fight, oddly enough, because it was competitive, and I think sometimes, people get caught up in the moment, and some people can't differentiate the difference between a close fight and a competitive fight. Although, Montiel, he was tough, he was rugged, he was game, he was competitive all the way through. Even with that being said, he still won no more than 3 rounds at best, in my opinion. So in my opinion, he lost, 9 rounds to 3, and it was a clean, convincing win for Charlo. But, I think he was critiqued also for not getting a knockout, being that, Montiel was knocked out against MUNGUIA when they fought, and he was knocked out early at that. So I guess, some fans felt like anything less than a KO was considered a failure. I myself don't agree. I don't agree with that logic. Like I said, Charlo controlled the fight. He hurt Montiel multiple times, and he was never in any danger of being stopped or losing the fight. He lost 3 rounds in my opinion, and he won 9. That's to me, that's a dominant win. It was a competitive fight, but it still was a dominant win for Charlo. Like I said, no MUNGUIA, no CANELO. CANELO decided to go the other route and fight Dimitri Bivol, which is a respectable fight. I feel like MUNGUIA and his team never really wanted to fight with Charlo. I think they just used his name, for publicity, for clout, for media attention. I think Charlo received a lot of backlash for these fights not happening, but if you're paying attention, you will see that he want to make these fights. You can't blame these recent fights not happening on him, as he was ready to step up to the plate and face CANELO. It was CANELO decided to go otherwise, as many people felt like they seen it coming anyway. So, I don't think the backlash is fair, but, I'm pretty sure Jermall Charlo at this point in his career is used to it, So, with Sulecki, June 18th, people are just not happy with the opponent selection. Sulecki's 30-2 with just 11 KOs. He's 32 years old. Also orthodox fighter. He's 6'1", 68-inch reach, Poland fighter. He's a good boxer. He's not known for his power, but his most notable fights are both unanimous decision losses. One to Danny Jacobs in 2018, and he lost to Demetrius Andre in 2019. Ever since then, Sulecki, he's fought twice. You know, he's won both of those fights. He won one, was a 10-round unanimous decision, and he won an 8-round unanimous decision. Both fights were over journeyman fighters, you know, definitely not on the level of Charlo. So it's no doubt Jermall Charlo will be a huge step up in competition compared to Sulecki's most recent opponents. And, you know, I think this fight will be competitive because, like I said, he's only lost to top fighters. You know, he's only lost to Danny Jacobs, you know, and Demetrius Andre, who is still undefeated. So, you know, he's been in there with some tough competition, but, you know, I think Charlo is definitely gonna give him all he can handle. You know, I think Sulecki will be competitive because he can box, like I said, but he's not known for power, but he can be, you know, he can be tough and unorthodox and crafty at times in the ring. He's shown it, so I believe he'll have his moments, but I believe once Charlo, you know, adjusts, you know, get his timing and his rhythm down pat, I expect him to display, you know, his full arsenal. I expect him to separate. I expect him to show who the better fighter is, and I think he gonna do exactly that. You know, I mean, like I said, people are not satisfied with the opponent's selection, but I think in this, especially in this particular case, you can't blame that and fault that on Jermall Charlo. As I said, he was ready to face not only CANELO, but he was willing to face Jaime Munguia as well. And I just don't think Munguia and his team were serious about fighting Jermall. I think they just used the name, like I said, for media attention for the most part. You know, CANELO, you know, he does what he wants, so, you know, I think fighting Bevo is a respectable fight, so I'm not going to complain about that. But, you know, back to Charlo, you know, hopefully after this fight with Maciej Sulecki, we can see him in there with, you know, the top fighters, as I think he deserves to be in there with the absolute best. I think the fans deserve that. I know the fans deserve that. So, you know, and they're getting restless with these subpar fights, or these, you know, opponents that these fights that we just not clamoring for. So, you know, I'm optimistic that we're going to see Charlo in the ring with better competition once he's able to handle business June 18th. I think this is just a bump in the road in terms of big fights, because this is not one. And like I said, I'm optimistic that after this, we can see Charlo in there with the absolute best, because I think anything less is just doing himself a disservice to his career. You know, he says he wants to prove himself. He wants to be in there with the best. And I know, as being a fan, a supporter of the sport, I definitely want to see him in there with the best possible competition, you know. But again, I'm not going to complain about this opponent, because as I stated a couple times, you know, CANELO went his way, and, you know, Munguia chose not to, you know, accept the challenge or whatever it was. But, you know, so on to the next. So I believe once Charlo handles business June 18th, he's on to the next. Better competition, better fights, and it's gonna give us something better to look forward to, man. So that's just my thoughts on this fight, man. I'm gonna touch on some more of these fights that's on the schedule as the upcoming days. You know, some interesting fights upcoming, and I'm gonna touch on a few of them, man. But that's just my thoughts on this fight, man. Y'all get in the comment section, let me know what y'all think. As always, get in that comment section and let me know if I gave Jermall Hitman Charlo and Maciej Sulecki their just due, because that's what I always do over here, just do boxing. Until the next one, I'm out. Peace.